Hello, Brainoid.
Greetings, sire.
Greetings, traveler. Astral traveler. How are you, good friend?
I am good.
Oh, 95 changes to the source content files have been detected. Would you like to
Yeah.
re-import them? This is one thing I don't really understand. It does that, and then it recommends that I submit them, even though you've already submitted them. I don't know if it's just a local thing.
And then they'd show up in Git, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It shows up in. It recommends I then re-upload them as changes, but I don't think it doesn't break if I do it. But it's just a bit weird, isn't it? I don't understand why it doesn't just accept your kind of imports.
Let's say Unreal.
Yeah, I mean it might be because it needs like a source, if you will, to make an asset, and because I'm downloading it and it doesn't really.
Yeah, the file handling is not very good in Unreal. Yeah, I mean, I never experienced anything like this in Unity, or like we also had issues of missing files and only having U assets because you placed them elsewhere, but only.
Yeah, it was local on my machine, not in the Git repo, right?
I'm still missing some assets from banners.
Yeah, apologies. Yeah, but I mean, it's cool. We learn from it. It kind of makes sense. That's the thing. I think the thing with Unreal quite often is it makes sense, but it's just not always intuitive. And it's like, it feels like other systems have done it without these complexities. So your instant reaction is like, why is it so messy? But it kind of, sometimes it makes sense and sometimes they just did it that way and you just work with it, I guess, right?
Yes.
But anyway. Well, these aren't quite like meta files. These are U asset files, which is the type of file that Unreal makes and allows you to like handle in the editor. So you won't often be handling directly like textures or FBXs and that. They'll get converted to a U asset. So they do need to be.
It's a way of protecting the files as well, I guess.
Yes, yeah, to stop people from stealing them, I guess, right? And is that what you mean by protecting?
Yeah, like if you are using a third-party library and it only has U assets, you can still use them, but you cannot edit them, modify them.
Yeah. Oh, that's a fair point. I've heard something about the whole like the cooking sorry, this is completely derailed chat now, but it's one of the things where you don't want to like ship your game with all of the code and all of the assets as they are, because then people could just take what they want from it, right? And the process of building it into like one package makes it so that you're not sharing all of your work; you're just letting them experience it. But that's slightly different to importing. But anyway, Watery how lovely to see you as well.
Hello, Chris.
Elisha Griffin, does my voice sound hoarse today? I'm in my own ears with headphones. I sound like I have a slightly deeper voice than my normal whiny British self. I lost my voice a little bit yesterday chatting to it was on a social and it was in like a pub, so it's just that background noise. And as soon as I have to like talk loud for more than 20 minutes, it just like my throat goes and I'm like within no time. Like mid-sentence, just breaking my voice. But anyway, okay, Brent, do you want to talk us through what you have? Good sir.
Yeah, let's play the game.
Okay. So F11, start demo run, I guess, yeah?
Yes, and if you wanna jump right into the map, you can press M.
N or M, sorry.
M for map.
That does make sense. Now, doesn't this look lovely? Look at this. We have some trees. We have some rock. Oh, and there's mouse movement. Yes, you did say that you added it. Although, if I go off the screen onto my, because I've got.
I think that's Unreal.
Interesting. Yeah, I wondered why it started going up. So you
basically
just have regions, is it? If the. Sorry, what did you say?
You can hold right click.
Yeah, that's a lot easier for me. So now we have this, and yeah, I kind of like want to zoom and look at the little fire with benches. So are these randomly placed?
No, it's a camp. So
say that again. Oh, sorry.
Which one?
Yeah. Things like the houses and the rocks and everything.
Yeah, they are random. So I assign the encounters first on the node. So, and depending on the node, if it's a camp or a village or anything like that, I spawn something around them.
Ah, cute. Okay, I like that.
And then the rest is random, yeah.
Nice, nice. So does it do the path first and then the items?
It's interesting. It adds the nodes first.
Yeah.
And then creates a single path. It makes sure that it finds a path from the first node to the last node.
So let's go to give some context. Here's the last node for it. Actually, is it? I think this seems like there's a few. No, down here.
I divide it into chunks. So it connects the first chunk to the last chunk, not the last node.
Right, okay, that makes sense. But then each chunk is interconnected, right? I'd imagine, so you can get there. Okay, so is the last node here? Is there a way to tell which one the last node is?
No, there's no last node at the
Okay.
moment.
Oh, I see. That's what you're saying about the chunk. Okay, fair. So first you spawn and make sure that the first tile or the first chunk can connect to the last chunk, right?
Yes. And then I randomly, not randomly, but I have an algorithm. Depending on the distances between nodes, I connect nodes, and there's some randomness in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I spawn these bigger rocks, and then spawn the medium ones and the smaller ones, the decorative things.
Lovely. Okay. We've reused some bonus assets here. You may recognize. What are these bigger ones? Are these?
Yeah, I just asset grab them.
Yeah. That's fine. I was going to say. Okay, I couldn't remember if Spacey did this much detail on them or not. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's fine. So at the moment, Brain's using these as like kind of mountain placeholders, if you will, and I think they do good to kind of fill gaps here where it's not connected, to make it feel like there's a reason why you go down instead of just cutting around here.
Yeah.
So I think that's quite nice. And we can always add to that. Like if we end up sticking exactly to the way this works, we could always add to this where we kind of, try and decorate or place things in the gaps between things where you can't go. Like you could put like more of a forest here, so that's why it's obvious that you wouldn't travel between them.
By the way, I'm making a lot of box overlap checks there. Actually, you can restart the game, and right after you press start demo run, click M. And you'll see.
Okay, start down. Uh-oh. Did I do it too fast?
Yeah, before, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how much I like the mouse on the edge of the screen movement. I know it's perfectly like normal in a game like this. It's not that you've done it wrong. It's just one of those where like the screen moving when I'm not intending it to. But it's not, as I said, it's because I didn't have focus on the game. I didn't actually click start demo run. Oh, wow, okay, look at this. So these are the collision checks to make sure that it's not colliding with with what? Talk me through it. Say that again.
With anything. It checks everything there.
Like, this looks cool. Like, look at this little region.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you happy with how it's turned out?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. I think I like seeing it full screen as well, because I watched those videos you did, but I think you've done a little bit more work since the last video I saw. Yeah, you have. But yeah, I just feel it looks pretty organic. I mean, I think though, like I don't know whether, I was thinking about this yesterday randomly on the train, is there a way where we could paint texture based on like where the line is?
Yes, I looked up for it, and yes, there's a way. It's not very easy to do.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a way.
Because that would help us do like the paths, to kind of go with it, even if it's like a bit zigzaggy. It's not perfect, but it just it'll give us the floor will look kind of nicer then, right?
Yeah. Worst case, I can draw another spline under that thing, and yeah.
Oh, what? And just give it like a path texture? You mean? Do you mean by that, or?
Yes, yeah. I meant that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it looks really good, man. I like it. It feels good.
Another thing is that I added another light for this map, and I switch lights when I'm switching between the card game and the map view.
Okay.
So we have this longer shadows in this setup.
That would make sense. Yeah, I see what you mean, because that definitely adds a bit of kind of depth to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, by the way, this way I think we can have day, dawn, night cycle.
Do you know what? I was literally just going to say that, because you could have the shadows moving, because not much is happening on this screen, right?
Yeah, so we're not discussing this yet, but I was really thinking like maybe instead of stamina fuel or anything, whatever, instead of those, maybe we have time, and when it gets dark, you just face very strong monsters, so you just don't want to waste time.
Okay.
So
Well,
it's
so
it's
like certain
basically
time and not.
FTL.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. What? Yeah. How does FTL deal with that? I know FTL has bits where like you have this wave catching up with you.
Yeah. So when that wave catches up, you face strong enemies.
Hmm. So it could be that, yeah. If I know we said we're not discussing it yet, but the idea of like you could be fleeing in a way, you know, like the invaders or something are behind, and they catch up. Yeah, I'm not 100%. We won't go into detail on it now, but that would make sense where that would turn like a. Let's find a tile of interest here. Have I got a town somewhere? Oh yeah, just look for these. That should help me. Oh no, not always. Oh, look at that little cardsmith tile. It's beautiful. Okay, let's just use this as an example. This camp down here, but like initially it's a camp, but if the wave catches up, then this turns into a camp overrun by things. So you can still go there, you can still get the camp benefits, but you need to fight things there as well, maybe.
Yeah.
But ideally, it'd be like geared militia ones, not just the stragglers that we're coming across it.
Yes.
Or something like that. But yeah, for anyone watching as well, first off, hey Sparky, nice to have you here as well. And Watery Tat, it's going lovely. Thank you for asking, man. I had a social catching up with some lovely work people that I haven't seen the faces of for a long time. And also, we've kind of one of the QA guys in work summarized it well, that they kind of had like 2-3 testers before COVID, and now they're on 7 testers. Like it's just there's a lot of growth, or like a lot of new faces in the company that's all been done remotely. So it's been really nice to have a chance to meet some of those. There's still loads I haven't met, but yeah, hopefully there's more opportunities in future to kind of have some safe socials anyway. But yeah, I had that yesterday, which was really nice. Luch Lab says, this overworld map looks great, by the way. It's clean and easy to read. Well, a compliment to you, Mr. Brainer. Brainer's done this all in the last week. So this was one of our objectives from last week, was we want to effectively consider how do we want to navigate the game. The old way, we knew we didn't want to stick with it and didn't want to add to it. Our problem was that we realised that without this overworld and the kind of game exploration map, it's very hard to feel how our features feel, because we're just going from one fight to another each time without any other pressures or time restrictions or kind of goals. And so it became difficult to assess the kind of success of new features we were adding. So Brian and I just dedicated time on this week to just to explore some path kind of options. And we are completely, like, on this one you can tell that it's not like you have to make a choice and then you're stuck to that. You can kind of go back, but we're not committed to that either. For anyone watching interested, this is just one of the things we could do. Brain is working on it so that you can toggle the algorithm so that it makes it more like a Slay the Spire way, where you wouldn't be going backwards and there wouldn't be like dead ends. Like each path will take you forward, if that makes sense. Yeah, yes, Lucha Labs. We're hoping for like a roguelike sort of progression, but we're still unsure about that as well. So we're torn between the two options we kind of like are influenced by, or we'd like think that would fit the game. With the mechanic that we have in the card combat, would be Type 1, Slay the Spire, which is each run you start you have a base deck that you start with the basic cards, and you go through and you accumulate new cards that only exist for that run. And that allows you to build decks, and like based on what cards you gain, you're like, oh, okay, I'm getting the poison cards. Let's try and focus a build around poison, and you try and do the best you can, but it's a bit out of your control. It's RNG, but you can kind of sway the RNG in your direction. And it makes each run feel different. Sometimes you have really overpowered runs. Sometimes you have runs that just didn't work out. But it's okay, because it varies from session to session.
By the way, the more mechanics you discuss or think about, the more confusing it gets to answer the question, what is a run?
Yes. Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. So the second option or kind of influence that we're considering is more of a Darkest Dungeon-y kind of cycle. Darkest Dungeon 1. Where you have a base and you go off on a run or an adventure, or off to kill a boss at the end of some big area like this, and then after that you return to town, or whoever survives returns to town. and you keep what you have. You like collect cards, and you have like a card deck at town, and you can take a bunch of cards out with you on your next adventure. And you can acquire characters. There's already a system where we acquire a new party character, but if we went that way, they could just go to town and they're ready for you next time you go on an adventure as well. Whereas at the moment, it's just for that one run, so you need to say, well, this run, do I want a tank instead of a bard? And it's just a one-off decision. Whereas this way would be more like thinking of the long game of like, oh, okay, yeah, let's recruit more people. Yeah, so they're the two kind of ideas we're thinking of. But okay, cool. Sorry, Brian. I just thought since we got people asking questions, it'd be good to.
It was a good samurai.
Good samurai. Okay. Before we talk any more about this, then I'm just having a look around the map, see if any other thoughts kind of crop up. But I think like you've done. It's nice and organic, man. I feel it look like even like the angles of these things, like this like path that goes off and then it goes over here. It's all right. It feels like you could just take an off turn and go over here. I was worried that it'd be like, well, it's just going to be like more fights down a dead end. Like, why would people want to do that as such? But I really like, especially if we can have some like algorithm generation logic like this, where you get a good thing, but it's after something difficult. Like that kind of plays into the kind of risk reward factor that players can make that decision on. Because that's the concern I have with this style as well. Is like you're taking away the choice from the player of like, I'm going to go the left branch. And they have to sacrifice something for that, but they gain one thing from it.
Yeah. You still have left, right, middle branches, kind of, but yeah.
Yeah, but normally you can go around them all. But yeah, so this would be an interesting path up here if we had like a time element to it, because you're coming to the end, right? And then you've got to go all the way back and backtrack.
To come back down. There's a quest as well.
yeah, that's the thing. It's not a huge problem, is it? It's just different. It's nice because we don't want it to directly translate to things like Slay the Spire too much. So I'm down. I'm fine with exploring these ideas, even if we don't end up sticking with all of it.
One thing to consider is on Arcanum, so you can travel everywhere. Again, it's a free roaming map and a hex map.
Yeah.
And there's a time. I mean the number of moves, and then when you hit n number of moves, the boss spawns and fights you immediately.
Oh, wherever you are, is it?
Yeah.
Interesting. So that's like a limiter to how much you can explore, and maybe can you do things to push that back ever? Like, could you do a certain encounter?
Remember. But yeah, it's kind of similar to Loop Hero, actually, right?
Yeah, great minds. I was going to say that you know that it'll spawn when you collect a certain amount of stuff. So you defeat X amount of monsters, and then the boss will come and confront because they've heard about these adventurer cats cleansing their armies or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I really like the idea that we could have, let's say, like this was a cave, like where we've got the rocks on this right side, and there could be some cave, like a big spider boss or something like that. Then we can have like thematic things on the map as well. I think it'd feel nice because like this adds an extra dimension, actually, giving visual flavor to this map. That's something that really lacks on things like Slay the Spire. It doesn't feel like you don't know what it looks like, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. It's still a great game, but I think if we're doing like we're trying to tie to RPG themes, aren't we?
Yes. And
so I think having a visual world and a bit of charm to the environment and being able to imagine it a little bit more and give character to the environment, I think will probably do as well. So yeah, okay. I really like. Let's talk about the nodes and stuff like that. Obviously, as you know, we'd want to polish up these little dashed lines in the future. They're perfectly fine for now. The tiles are like it's super glowy, but at the same time, it's really obvious what's going on. The tiles that you're not on are really clean to read, actually, which is nice.
Yeah.
The icons have worked well. I think they're nice to read. And I like the highlight. The highlight works well. We could always do something like if you can't make it to that tile, that it wouldn't glow in the same way or something like that.
Yeah, maybe they shouldn't. I don't know. Maybe they shouldn't glow even.
Yeah. Yes, that would probably make sense. You still get the tooltip, but it won't glow. Yeah, that could work. But I'm guessing then, so we would have some visual representation. Do you think of the party on their like triple bike machine, right?
Maybe actually, can you press the next node?
Oh, sorry, I moved my mouse off screen and I've gone all places now. Let me. Where was I? So if I click on this, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Delay.
Oh, so it went green. It took me to the encounter. Right.
And press M again.
Okay, so I'm now on this one. So I can go back. Yeah, that does make sense. I guess we could have something to indicate that we've defeated a tile.
Yeah, and it will be an empty tile. We have to decide what's gonna happen in that case as well.
Yeah, this alt tab at the moment is not working with the mouse. Yeah, as soon as I move it off, it detects it. It's fine. It doesn't matter. I just wanted to go to Nucleino and write a couple of these thoughts down as we're doing it, and just in case we forget some of it. So we're just doing the feedback bit. We can go through what you wrote earlier as well, but for now, feedback on the 21st to the 11th.
Also, it's annoying that Unreal is going down to 1 FPS when you're alt tabbed.
Yes.
We can change that, by the way.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that might be at least for just for stuff like this, it would be nice, so it doesn't like break things or just look jank. Also, I've been married a month. Would you look at that? A date I just noticed.
Yay.
Happy anniversary, Alicia Griffin. If you're in the chat, my biggest fan. If she's not in the chat now, then it looks like she's not my biggest fan. All right, feedback. I guess I can, if I pull this on screen, then I don't need to move the mouse as much. That would be a good idea. Okay, so I'm not going to write the obvious stuff, like the polishy stuff. It would just be more like indication on a. What are you calling these nodes? The encounter thing?
There are nodes, map nodes.
Okay, on map node, if you've completed or like exhausted the event. Because part of me thinks maybe you could skip, like say you went to a camp and you don't make a choice, then maybe it shouldn't have a mark on it.
Yeah.
So we need like a concept of have you completed this thing, right? Because you wouldn't want to go back, work your way back to a camp tile thinking, oh, I can go there and replenish health again, and you can't. It needs to be quite clear, I think, if you've used the goodness of it. Potential, you can skip non-combat tiles. And players can return to them later.
You might want to catch up with chat because Duke's gonna leave, I guess, soon.
Okay, thank you, dude. Duke, long time no see. It's not been that long, but it's good to see you. Hello. Saying hi before I go to the fitness studio. How are you? Life's been good for me. I've got 2 and asked for raises at work within a month. Within a month? What are they like? I'm sorry, you deserve the money. I'm sure you do. But reviewing salary twice within a month sounds an interesting way to run to assess it, but it's worked out well for you. That's nice to hear. Started to change my diet, a more healthy one, and physical exercise. Good. The life stuff sounds good, Duke. Life stuff. So I'm glad you're doing well. Special Effect is a charity that effectively focuses on making gaming and games accessible for severely disabled people. So they work on like eye tracking software and different kind of hardware that will allow people to play games with whatever like working functioning part of their bodies that they can. So you have disabled people who are paralyzed completely, right? So they could make a game controllable just by their eye movement. You can have some people who might have amputated limbs, but they can still like push a button, and so they might adapt games or make technology that would allow games to be played with just like special controls and make it so that they can still engage in games as a means for entertainment, leisure, and escapism, and just to feel less isolated, I guess, because I'm sure being well, I can't say I'm sure, but I can only imagine that being severely disabled makes you feel very isolated from being able to take part in what like everyone else does. So yeah, that's what we're going to be raising money for this year. They're a UK based charity, but I think they're very well known. Fair enough, Duke. Well, I'm glad that things are going good for you anyway. And hopefully the finance stuff will keep you going and happy in that department, so you can just focus on your personal life. It sounds good. Thank you, Sparky. Right, okay, back to it then. Okay, that was just the little feedback on that. So we were moving around. We went to one tile, and that then opens up. I like how it highlights in orange the ones that you can go to, which is good, right? So let's go to the next encounter. We would have a fight. Press M. We've completed that now. So now we can go to a town. And the thief wants to join us. So we would click on which character that we want them to replace. So they're going to replace the tank. Great. Okay. And then we carry on. Press M to skip for now. Yeah, and you see that they all kind of light up the different paths that you can go. So it's nice you've already got the logic in there to like highlight which paths you're able to go to. Just
logic.
Oh, and then in this situation we go and we say, right, we want to heal for whatever. Great. So yeah, this bit I'm interested in. If I was to go here, we finish that fight. We get some cards for completing it. It might be nice to have it so it re-centers on the tile you're on after combat. If you've got any logic around that, I don't know if you do. Okay, I was like kind of here when I came off, but okay. So if I go back to here, yeah, it asks you again. So yeah, I think we just need that. That would feel really like, I know you know this already, Brain, sorry, but yeah, it would feel really crap if when you're going back through the tides, you've got to press something every one, you know? So it'd be a case of like, we talked like you could maybe like click on a far node if all of the events have been cleared. You could click on like a node 6 tiles on if you've cleared them all already, and it would just walk you all the way along super fast there. Maybe. Sure. Either that, or you just click per one, but you don't have a pop-up if you've already completed it. So we'll just skip that. Cool. And if I click on those, it doesn't do anything, which is nice. And if I go back to a combat, so I do have another combat at the moment, but yeah, we're in early stages of that. So that means I could technically just recruit over and over until I get the super party. Oh, yes. Bard is joining us. We're in the...
I still have some bugs there, like choose target is stuck at the moment, for example.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, that's all good. That's all good. Yeah. But, okay, that's cool. Is there anyone in chat, if you have any feedback on what you're thinking of this, it doesn't have to be positive. If you've got any ideas, do feel free to share it before we start talking about some other stuff related to how we'd want the gameplay to work with this. We're happy to read it in chat and have some input. Sure, could even know more different company. They're great at the company now. Soon co-workers possibly good too. Okay, yeah. I think staying where you're happy is like, I often have this, like I work in game dev, Duke. So like salary versus if I went to work in normal software engineering is not comparable, yet I enjoy the area I work in, or the field of work, right? The industry, that's the word I'm looking for. But and secondly, I have a big amount of faith in the people and the company as well, and I think that's more important than money for my lifestyle, at least. I get a lot more value and peace of mind and feeling like I'm doing the right stuff in life from that, rather than, oh, I could earn an extra 10 grand somewhere else. So that's how I see it. So I guess you have some self-reflection on that and work out what's the most important thing for you. And that should help you feel more comfortable about making decisions, I guess, about do you want to keep working where you are or do you want to try and get more money? But yeah, my personal advice to random people, if they ask me, would be that if you've got enough money to do what your ambitions are, then getting more money isn't always the best thing you can do. Hello there, Jack Cider. It's what way I'm honest. Yeah, fair enough, Duke. That does make sense. Well, have fun at the fitness thing anyway, dude. I hope it goes well. Right, Brain. Is there a topic you wanted to discuss immediately? Or
Yeah, we can move on.
okay, that's cool. So let's go and have a look at. Oh, it still does it when I alt tab. It scrolls to the top of the map.
Yeah,
Maybe the
let's
mouse
fix that
value is
first.
0 if you're not in the game or something like that. It could be. I think it's if it's over any other window, then it gets a null value or something. I don't know. We might be able to do something like is window in focus when checking the mouse position.
Maybe.
Yeah, but okay. So in design, where was it again? Campaign, game flow exploration. Alrighty, let's go. So Braino's just written some notes. We're gonna kind of go through these now, and then Braino's like, it's getting really long. But
Because like changing only one answer in a scenario creates another scenario, right? So
yeah. No, I agree with you. You can't. It's hard to exhaustively explore everything, right? So are we collecting characters? This is the classic scenario. So no, we can only add them or replace them in the map. Correct. The length of it is of a run of each chapter. Long, each chapter should take around 30 minutes.
what do you think about the length?
Yeah, I think that can vary. I think I'm trying to think like a good Slay the Spire run. It depends on like how long you take to think about your moves, right?
That's weird because lately I've been watching Slay the Spire speedruns. It's like 2.5 minutes finished.
I'm trying to think, well, when I played, I think they have a high score table for this actually. If I got Slay the Spire installed, I imagine it was around an hour or so. Let me just launch this because I think that they have like a timetable. I can look at like how long my friends are taking to go through it as well. So yeah, I think it's if I recall correctly, it could be between around 50 minutes or 38 minutes if you really rush through. But if you have a game where you're really thinking about your moves, trying to min-max it, it ends up lasting a lot longer. While we wait for this launch as well, just Spike saying, you meet you. I used to work for cat protection, rescuing cats, and now I work for Women's Aid, helping women. I like to hope I am making a difference. Indeed, it is different form of kind of life satisfaction, isn't it? Thank you for the follow, Ben Kiska. Right, we're not going to play a game. I'm just trying to remember where it was. Statistics, leaderboards, run history. I haven't played for a long time. Wins and losses, all characters. This is me only, I think. Leaderboards. Okay, it's score. Does it only do it by score? Oh, damn it, I thought it'd do it by run speed. Okay, that's a shame. Oh no, hang on, best win streak. Time, there we go, it did. Okay, leaderboards. I'm not very good on time, but you can see here, like, my fastest time, it looks like, is 1 hour and 11 minutes. Where some people, like Tormod, has done it in 20 minutes. So you can rush through. But a lot of it's a thinking game, right? And a lot of the time gets eaten up in that. Different characters, 46 minutes with that character. Didn't finish it with that character. And I haven't finished it with that character. On the proper full finish, that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think like your proposal there is probably a little longer than I would have expected. Because I think the thing we need to be wary of is if we do this style of game, the classic Slay the Spire style, then you kind of want people to play a few runs, and you also want someone to be like, oh, I'll just do a run of Slay the Spire, right? And you know that's going to be like an hour sesh.
Well, that also depends on how many acts you have in your game.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, you want people to remember what cards they've got. So if they play and then they go, oh, okay, well, I'm at 1 act in, I'll come back in 2 days and play it. Like, will they remember all of the cards that they've got and that? Yeah. Like, obviously, they can look it up. I'm just trying to think of, like, the benefits of having a shorter game span to it, at least. And the other thing to consider is if you happen to be not having a great run, if it's only like, if you know you're going to wrap up in an hour, you might just keep going. But if you're like, this is going to be 4 hours and I really don't like the starter cards I've got, you might end up like, oh, I'm going to restart because it's not worth it. And we want to try and decentivize any kind of let's restart sort of mentality, I guess, right? But I'll just add potentially. Yeah, sorry, you've done it in a nice way with little.
You can shift return from that point to keep
Oh, it
going.
still does that. Thanks. Uh, allows players to try more deck combinations. Combos allows completion within one sitting. Non-optimal decks may feel like a big time investment. Sorry, I'll clear up that sentence in a sec. Playing a run with non-optimal decks may feel like a big time investment for a non-ideal play.
Did you win your first run?
In Slay Spire?
Yeah.
No.
So how long did it take for you to?
Well, the thing is, yeah, I can't remember, unfortunately.
Because that's actually the lifetime value of a player, right?
Yeah, it's the one when you get all the way to the end that it can last longer, and that's something to consider.
That's what you would consider beating the game compared to a non-classic scenario gameplay. Beating it, I think, because you see different cards that way, playing again and again.
Yeah, yeah. Game length would be shorter if you don't complete. So yeah, that is a consideration for sure. Okay. All right, so what happens between map runs? Can you leave the map and go back to base? Nothing happens. We immediately jump to net. Yeah, that would be the start. Well, what happens? In addition to this is normally it gives you a chance for no, it lets you choose. No, you get given a perk that will kind of positively contribute to your game style, your gameplay. So when you defeat a boss, you get things like one of the key ones that I used to enjoy taking was you have like 3 energy normally that you can use in a turn, and you can get really, after defeating the boss, you get a choice of a really powerful upgrade every time you defeat a boss.
Yeah.
You don't always get the same ones, but like one of them was you now have 4 instead of 3, and that really changes like what you can do. So it feels like it changes that. I think the important thing I'm trying to get at here is that it makes it not feel exactly the same, just different environment. It feels like your tools of what you can do is getting a bit stronger.
True.
Or you might get something that means like your cards no longer get cards you don't use don't get discarded, and that really changes the flow of things. Like you have choice of all these cards that you're not using. Then it may be something like every time you play a card, it adds a bleed effect to someone. It could be like more strategy based, but like they help you kind of refine your gameplay and give you something to look forward to kind of build on in the next chapter.
Yeah, I hear you. So I also think we'll have a change of pace, just by changing the gameplay a little bit from environment to environment.
Okay. In which ways do you could you elaborate on changing the gameplay?
Just simply, first of all, the environment cards, and other than that, the discard, not discard, the removal of the cards on the board.
So the actual, sorry, you mean in the combat, right? That those game mechanics are changing.
Some cards,
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. We could always as well on the this may not apply to Slay the Spire style, but from what you were saying earlier about could we have a timed element to it? Each environment could have a unique play on that.
Yeah.
On how the map works, and that would make it that would be a good way to make it feel different as well.
Yes, that's what I was thinking as well.
Nice, great.
You have different quests in every map, maybe. Yeah. Not map, but environment or chapter, act, whatever.
So many words to kind of describe what we roughly have in our head.
Mentions, please.
Where are we? What happens during the map runs? How do we travel through the map? So, save file, no dead ends, no free roaming. Always move forward in the map. Difference from save file, we can have extra nodes. Okay, good. By the way, it's not that I'm like, I didn't think you understood Slay the Spire, but it's good that we're very aligned with what the Slay the Spire kind of style is.
Yes.
Saves me having to try and explain it. Okay, different combat nodes like defend village. So that'd be like with his waves. Yeah. That I like the idea of having a different combat mode because it will spice things up a little bit.
Yes. Again, a change of pace, I think.
Yeah. Character replacement node. Yeah. Card forging, card upgrading node. They do have some of that in Slay the Spire. Just
yes. True.
And event node. Yeah. So these two are slightly Slay the Spire, but just to put those in. Yeah, okay. But yeah, these things are definitely new elements to it. But also, yeah, whether we wanted to like collect. I'll put it at the end. No, it's all good. It's A, B, C, D, E. This would be like visit specific nodes to satisfy some quest criteria.
Yeah, maybe. Well, it's not too easy with the Slay the Spire style map, I think, because you cannot free roam. Yeah.
Well, actually, now I've said that though, I realize Slay the Spire actually does do that, but that is just the only one, and that's how you get the real boss. So if you just go through the game normally and get to the end each time, you fight 3 bosses and then that's it. But if you go to collect the 3 shards, there's 3 like color shards that go together, and they come from going to specific kind of encounters.
I remember.
Yeah. So if you get all of those, then you go to the last boss kind of chapter. So I guess they do have an element of that, but that's something that we could.
Yeah.
I even if we just made it work for like pre-chapter rewards, like maybe like at the end of each chapter, that's where you get given a quest. So. And then that gives you a bit of a focus. You can choose a quest, and then you can try and achieve that like on the next map or something like that. But okay, what happens when you lose your party? Game over. You've got to start over. Yes, correct. I agree. The one concern I have here is no, I don't, because you can replenish party members. I was going to say, like, does it feel crap when you lose some? Does it feel like you're never going to make it and you might as well start again? But yeah, no, I think that's not an issue. What would happen if you avoid combat all the time? Earn less cards and gold, harder to create a team with skills in harmony. We also need to consider, are we going to have an XP system which feeds into any benefits? We could have also perhaps quests to kill monsters will be an extra incentivization. Incentivization is not. It is a word, but it wasn't appropriate. It just made the word longer. It sounds smarter. And sometimes you can't. You lose. Like hopefully, like the algorithm would make it hard to avoid combat altogether, but you can obviously prioritize the non-combat tasks.
Yeah, I think it should as well, right?
What, the last point?
What I mean is it should prevent that you are avoiding all the combats.
Yeah. I mean, to an extent, completely, yes. It should make sure that maybe, there's one combat tile on a branch, on a minimum of like 10 per 10 nodes. There must be something like that, But generally thinking about it, I think there's I'm going through the Slay the Spire map. I think there's paths you can take which don't have particular kind of combat. You can just jump around. But yeah, as you said, the negative in Slay the Spire, if I remember correctly, is like, yeah, you are not getting cards, and that really is your way of building strength. And it's almost like you're rolling a dice to get you're trying to get good cards. So it just gives you're opening a new card pack effectively, right? So yeah, there's definitely reason to do that. Let me just go on a quick run quickly, and we can have a look at this map. Yeah, so there's combat to begin with. Let's look at like this one, for example. This left path here. So we could go after this first one. Let's disregard that. No combat, no combat, no combat. Maybe, but probably no combat. No combat, maybe, probably no combat. No combat, no combat, no combat. Then there's a combat up here. So, you know, I could get all the way to the boss just getting into 2 fights here. The mysteries might be one. And maybe the mysteries are a good way to do it, because you could even, you know, you could check how has the player been in combat in the last 5 encounters. Then we make it more likely that this is a combat tile, if you will.
Yeah.
So, okay. Oh, damn it, the audio carries on in the background. I'll turn that off. Mute when in background. There you go. Okay. Cool. So how does the ability system work in this system, in this scenario? So ability system, for other people who are not familiar with the project at the moment, ability system is each character has abilities which are either a special or an ultimate, and these are like assignable cards. You'll have them by default, but you can find new ones and equip them. So just think of them of like in a like a game like World of Warcraft. You choose what your button 1 is bound to and your button 2 is bound to. They're like your special abilities, and so yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at here. So because we're not collecting characters, you can only have 3 characters, and you don't know what characters you might add to the team later. If you see a powerful ability card that doesn't suit your team, you might consider that it's not necessary, but later you could end up adding an ally to the team that could use that ability card. This scenario definitely has disadvantage in making use of the ability system. So you're just thinking that it's harder to strategize, or like the choice of abilities that we offer.
I think collecting characters adds a little to the ability system, because that you know that you have this character back at the base, and in the next one you could use it.
Right.
So you could consider to take this reward or ability reward after a combat.
So it's basically, so it gives a benefit to getting stuff that's not good for you right now, but you can still go, oh, but this will be cool. I want to try that next run. This is if we weren't doing Slay the Spire style, right? So yeah. What's the benefits of it? Like, do we feel that we'd need to force the ability cards that we get offered to be usable? Even I guess they should.
Yeah.
Like as in like when it offers you one, if we roll, oh, they're getting an ability, and then we need to choose which one, we would only shortlist the ones that can be used by one of your characters, because otherwise it would feel crap, I guess.
Maybe, yeah, I don't really like that, but yeah, if we have to
only award abilities that are usable by at least one.
I mean, it's against the nature of the archetypes, I think. Then why do we have archetypes?
Well, because it means that 2 characters can use the same one, right?
Yeah. True.
Imagine you could re-specialize one of your characters, and you can change the archetype. You can change like one of the colors. That is interesting, but we're not going to talk about that today.
Yeah, please.
Okay, let's look at the if we were to do a hybrid one. So we got a hybrid. This is and then we will have another hybrid, and then we'll go to. We don't quite have a pure Darkest Dungeon one, but I guess the flavors of it come into these hybrids of them. So first off, we look at pathway. So pathway.
I don't have Darkest Dungeon pure because it doesn't have a node-based map navigation, actually.
Yeah. Okay, fair. And this is specifically with the game flow. So Yeah. So
Yeah,
anyone?
Darkest Dungeon. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
What Darkest Dungeon adds here is actually the collecting of characters and the base, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, like a more permanence between runs.
True.
And potential to upgrade the things in your base, which makes each run feel not a waste, which is nice. Yeah. So anyone who hasn't played, I haven't played it, but Braden has talked about it quite a lot. Pathway. So Pathway, we don't have a picture of the map here, but it's very much kind of like a node based, nice 2D pixely graphic. Oh, not that pixely actually, but 2D graphics. And it has like
pixel art.
Say that again.
It was pixel art.
Yeah. Okay. It was pixel art. Yeah, when I say pixel, I always think like it's like super low res pixel art. Pathway game map. There you go. Yeah, instead of me just trying to explain it, so you kind of have like these sort of areas where you have a node map going around. You can see like very similar to what Brain has kind of implemented with the Cattenburg map that we've just been looking at. If we open this and have a scroll about, yeah. So that's the style game, and when you go on a node. You'll get presented with like a multiple choice kind of scenario, and you make choices, and certain choices are available to you based on like your character attributes or equipment that you have and things like that. So most of these tiles, Brain, are blank. Can you remind me how that works in terms of knowing what, like some of them are specialized ones, right? Tiles.
Yes.
And then how do the non-specialized one work when you go to
you don't know what's there. They're all question marks.
So it could it be nothing as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Mostly events. Like, can you click the 1, 2, 3, 4th row, 3rd column?
Yeah.
Is that an event?
Oh, it's taking me to the Steam page. Was it this? Somewhere in the desert? Give me a sec. No, it was this. Okay, so the huts ahead of you appear to belong to a wealthy herdsman. As you approach, you see a worried-looking man sitting in front of the camel pens. Angry man says, I am cursed with misfortune. My best camel, Mare, has a fever and has stopped moving. If she has infected the other animals, I'm ruined. So then if you have a perk, medical expert, you can choose take a look at the camel. But if you don't, your only option is, what a shame. and you just move on. So
I think it's actually closer to FTL, where you don't see most of the nodes, types of nodes, and sometimes you see that they are distress or a market or whatever. Other than that, it's either an event with a pirate ship, or you help them or not. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can I just? Oh, go on.
You are searching for some fuel to keep going, right?
Yes, yeah. So you have a resource that kind of prevents you like just moving around without a care in the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I just, if anyone's listening with headphones, is Brainoid just coming out your left ear at the moment, or are my headphones breaking? It could be my headphones are breaking, but just recently it's just started coming through my left ear, and sometimes it pops into the right. I just wonder if
are you questioning I'm sending left only audio to you?
Well, sometimes it pops through the right as well. It's weird. So I thought my headphones had come out. Yeah, maybe my headphones are just breaking. Okay, as long as it doesn't sound bad for stream, I don't mind. I'm fine with it. But, okay, so let's have a look then at the discussion of the different questions. Then, so are we collecting characters? So yes, characters we disbanded will go back to the base, and they'll get unlocked at the base, so we can choose them again.
So about this in Pathway, they get unlocked. So you can use those characters later in the next one or whatever.
So you don't. It's not like that specific instance of the character goes back.
If you scroll down and check that image loadout.
Yeah, you can see the ones which are locked, and then that means you can start with those next time.
Yes.
Okay, so the downside to that is we don't have the kind of permanence of characters, but because it's just like, oh, you can choose this type of character and you play as them. You know, it's not like they've been out on 10 adventures already, if that makes sense. But Devious just says, I don't know, it's kind of a shame to go a whole node and be like go to a whole node and be like you get nothing. Well, the whole node is just one path, right? It's just like one jump. Or yeah. Do you want to elaborate on a bit of an example there, Devious, so I can respond to it a bit better?
Like we had in jam version Cattenburg. Mostly nothing happens.
Oh, when you land on empty tiles. Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah, because it kept popping up. Oh, you look, and there's nothing to be seen, and it gets. Yeah, it's a bit weird for it to pop up. When when I mentioned the example with the camel, or did you do an example with the cow, Breno, that I forgot about? No, it'd be the camel then. I don't know. I think it's fine if you go. Oh, if I had that perk, I could have done more, because it makes you think about your next play. Then, right? I think I don't mind that so much. Especially if there's a bunch of events.
It should be rare that really nothing happens still.
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't want it like every single node that you go to. I can agree with that much. But then I don't know if it's a negative thing to
revisiting a node is something else, though. I think that's not the same thing.
What do you
mean? You know that nothing is there anymore.
Right. Oh, so it's fine to have nothing there. Yeah, I think that's as you said, it's a different thing. Okay, we'll carry on for now. So maybe we cannot add characters to a running party, but only unlock them. So next round we can use them. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I like you said maybe, so that's fine.
Yes.
So I kind of like the idea. Sometimes mid run you go, oh, we can go for this, but you know there's always a drawback that you may not have many cards for that character, if you will, or like abilities that work for them. But okay. I guess that's debatable. I don't need to decide it now. Okay, length of map will run. Long in which sense? Is that longer than the before or the same?
I think same, because we're still going Slay the Spire heavy version here.
Yeah. What happens where between map runs you can leave the map and go back to the base. So you said we see a basic party selection loadout menu. Probably all characters are fully healed. It could be a way to go back to the loadout menu and start over with characters and abilities unlocked. You could be choosing which chapter to play here. Playing a chapter again could benefit you in different ways. Though to unlock the next chapter, you need to complete the current one. Right, so if you finish a chapter, are you saying that like the chapters are not like a linear path, but when you complete one, then it means you can progress with the story, if you will?
The second image here actually shows how it's handled in pathway.
Oh yeah, the kind of like this is an adventure. Yeah. So you would choose. There'd be a few of them you can skip through, right, and choose which one you want to go ahead and do.
Yeah, actually, it's not super different in Darkest Dungeon 1 as well. Remember, you have more than one place to go, but you see their difficulties, and the more you complete, the later ones are unlocked.
Yeah, that's true. Like so, it is quite a stray from the Slay the Spire kind of normal path, right? Where it's one big run, because it almost feels like you get a whole reset after each. Like, what would be consistent? Is there anything that carries in from chapter to chapter? That's I guess I'm interested in your thoughts on that.
Everything.
So, but you can change your party, right? And you can choose to, like,
you keep your deck with you. So,
okay. So if you die, you lose everything, but then you're still on that chapter select screen when you restart a new game. Yeah, that's the thing that I feel like they need to feel a difference. Not that you're like, I wouldn't want it to feel very similar to like you're starting a new game. Okay. If you've just completed a chapter, if that makes, and maybe it's just me because I haven't played this to know how it feels, and maybe it's not an issue. But it feels like you're basically starting a new game, but you've got cards in your deck already.
It's far from a roguelike, I guess.
Okay. Cool. Could be choosing a chapter to play. Oh yeah, the kind of chapter. So yeah, this gives you that kind of ability to choose an adventure and replay adventures, I guess. we'd have to think about how that could impact like a massive deck, because
Uh,
that's the.
it,
Go on.
so sorry, I thought you finished your
Well, I was
sentence.
just going to say that's one of the things that gives balance is that you have a restricted amount of nodes that you will visit in Slay the Spire, and
Hmm.
so you kind of control roughly how many cards they're going to get.
Oh
Whereas, like,
yeah,
we'd have to think about that in how it impacts it to no longer have that restriction imposed on
sure.
players. But what were you
Uh,
going to say?
Before going on to the fourth question,
Mm-hmm.
if you change that answer to play it with free roaming, then this scenario would shift to pathway heavy, I guess. Uh,
If we changed what? Sorry.
the map navigation to be free roaming instead of Slade Spire style.
Right. Okay.
Uh, yeah, this defines most of the things in the scenario, I guess. The roaming rules of the map.
Oh, on question. Are you on about question 4 now?
Yes, yes.
Ah,
Sorry.
right. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because I was going to say I didn't think we mentioned how we move around the map on this bit, but yeah. Okay. So what happens during the map runs? How do we traverse through the map? So stairs, fast style, no dead ends, nothing. Always moving forward
It's
in the
the
map.
same
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. 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 Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now I see what you were saying. It'd be more like pathway if we got rid of that restriction, allowed you to move around more. Okay.
Hmm.
What happens when you lose your party? You go back. Not losing the progress if you finish a chapter. Oh, so you can restart. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Does that impact replayability in that? I wonder. Um,
There's still some sort of replayability, but not the same as uh,
yeah,
Slade Spire, I guess.
yeah. I think it. As I said, it's not definitely a bad thing. It's just it changes the start the way that players would interact with the game. I
Because I
guess.
think this scenario all is already making you play over and over again at the same chapter because you see a different procedural map, so it's different.
Hmm.
Uh,
But then, if you're looking to finish the game, I don't know why you would start from chapter 1 again, if you will.
you want to find better cards or whatever
Okay.
because
Yeah.
the next chapter is still difficult for you, or maybe
Hmm. Yeah. I have to think about that.
maybe because
'Cause-
that usually happens in Darkest Dungeon as well, right? Because you try to finish the easier levels first.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, you do redo the easy if you have to start your party over. So I feel like having some permanence in characters would
a
benefit from that.
little bit of farming, I guess,
Hmm.
grinding. I don't know how you would feel about that.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not too sure. Um. Okay. That's fine.
Devious? I'll check that one.
Say that again.
I answered devious.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah, I remember this one. Yeah, I remembered.
Thank you, Devious. Okay, so earn cards and gold. What would happen if you avoid combat all time? Yeah, same answer, I guess. There, yeah. How does the ability system work in this? We're collecting characters between maps. You can change characters and abilities. You can plan your reward picks. Yeah, okay. So basically, this means that we have less of that restriction. That
Yes.
cards can drop that you can't even use, but it might be something that you're interested in anyway for future.
Yeah. Also, I don't know how long the game will be, so I don't know how useful this is. Like, how many times you'll be like, okay, I will use this on my next run. I don't know about that.
Yeah, it might be a case of maybe we restrict it to unlocked characters, not in your party. So like
Yeah.
drops restricted to unlocked characters, um, not just party. So that way you can you will have that feeling of, oh, okay, so we could change that to this character and try that out next turn. It kind of probably increases the chance of you having that experience that you wanted of like, oh well, we can use that next time.
So real quick, when I'm comparing with this with Darkest Dungeon,
Mm-hmm.
what was it we were collecting like items for the characters, trinkets or whatever, uh, and we were getting a lot of drops of some items that we cannot use at the moment, but I was saving them for later, really.
Is this in Darkest Dungeon, you saying? Sorry.
Yes, Darkest Dungeon 1.
Um,
Characters had some item slots, remember?
yeah, I'm trying to remember it. I know that you have like trinkets that you can equip with them, right?
Yeah.
There was like 2 things that you can give them per one. So yeah, you'd get stuff that you just have a horde of them basically then, right?
They had requirements as well, I guess. Not all could use all the items.
I can't remember. They probably yes, you had some which were locked per character.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that much. But then I also know that you'd sometimes get duplicates of the crap ones, and then you would choose to sell them.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's another thing as well. But
Okay.
and I think it was there a limit to how much you could hold in the base of like items?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I feel like there probably was, but I can't quite remember. Do I have Darkest Dungeon installed? Just to launch in the background. Let me have a little look. I do. Wonderful. Okay, sorry if the audio is loud for people on stream while it launches. It's also launched on the other screen. Okay, so now it's not even full screen. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine.
Ruin has come to our family.
Oh, my mid-run here. Damn it, I am mid-run. I have to be in the town so I could check it out. I think if I start a new game, you get a little intro quest as well. So maybe I won't do this now. We can revisit it another time. I think it auto saves as well, doesn't it? This, if I remember correctly.
There is power in symbols. Collect the scattered scraps of faith and give comfort to the masses.
Yeah, each of the characters have like 2 item slot. Actually, you have 2 trinkets. And then you also... Oh, they have more than that, actually. I can't remember how these... Yeah, you have like item slots as well, like armor and a... Is it a weapon?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I think it's like a weapon-based slot and an armor-based slot. I thought these are things you could upgrade in the town, but I can't remember if that's the case. Remember, you had an inventory like this, so any like of these items that you would find along the way, you would need to take them back with you at the end of that run, otherwise you wouldn't keep them.
Yes.
Which was good in a way, right? Because that made you stopped you just holding all of the ones that you maybe don't use because they were taking up. You'd rather take the gold back with you at the end of a run, right? So limited inventory helps with elements of that, I guess, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess there is some element of node node map in this, but yeah. Okay. All right. I don't need to have this open anymore. Can I minimize it? No, let's just exit it. I don't think we've
Open all the games and minimize them.
ready and prepared. Yeah, I don't think we need that open anymore. Okay, fine. So we're now looking at a. Hang on, what's the difference between the top? So Slayer's File had the. This one it also says Slayer's Fire Heavy Hybrid. Is that accidental or?
No.
Oh no, Darkest Dungeon instead of Pathway. Yeah, okay, cool. So are we collecting characters? Yes, the characters are just when they go back to base, you have the same type of characters with different names and different abilities. Right, so you could have 2 tanks. With one called Bora and one called Dan, for example. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You literally went on to say that, for flip's sake. Okay, length of map again would be long. What happens between map runs? Can you leave the map and go back to the base? So we see a basic party selection and a loadout. All characters are healed some amount according to time we spent in the last run. There could be a way to go back to loadout menu and start over with new characters and abilities unlocked.
Yeah, the only thing I changed here is the healing, and it's a little bit closer to Darkest Dungeon, but still keeping it simple and moving towards Slay the Spire here.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because like in a pure Darkest Dungeon would be after a run, you need to let them recover on a separate and leave them in base, right? So, but we're still allowing them the ability to keep using those group, but maybe we'd want to change people out. What happens during map runs? How do we travel through the map? Same as last time. What happens when you lose your party? Okay, so 3 options here. You lose the character you have, maybe along with the abilities they are carrying. So this is either any custom ultimates or specials that they have.
Trinkets maybe.
Okay. You go back to base and start another run if you have any characters left at the base. Otherwise, it's game over. When you lose it. Oh, so you're basically saying, can you carry on from your current checkpoint in the 5-act kind of story, let's say? Or let's say a full run, right? Which is not per map, but the full, all the chapters together, right?
Yeah, what I'm saying is, as long as you have some characters back at the base, you can start over. But if you don't,
but when you say start over,
that chapter, I mean, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So say you were 3 maps in and they all died. Could you then carry on from that point? Do you mean, or do you mean you would just carry on that save file, if you will?
In this option, if you don't have any characters left, it's just game over, I think.
Okay. Option B would be you don't lose your characters. You return to base and start the last chapter again with your character's HP reset.
This sucks, I think.
Yeah, it'd be difficult with acquiring characters if you can't lose them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And option C, you lose the characters you have. Maybe their abilities to carry. You're given new random characters with default abilities and no experience. If you have experience in character leveling in the game. Yeah. Yes, I think that's a key thing with Slay Spire, isn't it? Is that you can level up the characters, right? And so you just recruit new characters, but the level you get them on is random. Sometimes they can be really low, and sometimes they can be quite close to what they were last time. It's an interesting one. I think if we have a case where you can accumulate characters, like we're talking about, we'd need it like a stable, effectively, right? Where you have X amount of characters that you can pool. And then if you've got 8 characters in the base, and it's oh, do you want this one to join your crew? You'd need to choose who's it going to replace, I feel.
What I was thinking here is that if you're replacing one, the other one goes back to base.
Oh, sorry, not out of your active party. So I'm imagining you've got your active party, but then imagine back at base, you've got 8. Okay. And that's the max. So when you find a new character, you're like, okay, yeah, we don't want to replace a party member, but we want to send him to base. You'd need to choose which at base you'd want to replace, if that makes sense. Yeah, so it would need some way to limit it like that, I feel. Otherwise, you just have an endless amount of characters. Or maybe you can, but it costs resources or something, there's an upkeep fee.
Yes.
So you can choose to progress slower, but have a safer bet of more characters behind you.
Fellowship Manager 2022.
Yes, yeah. They all wanted a sequel, and we're gonna give it to them. Maybe we should do that every LD from now on. At least it gets the brainstorming bit out the way faster, right? What would happen if you avoid combat all the time? How does
same
yeah. Okay, and abilities. System weakness characters. Healing slowly at the base is something to consider here. You find this great card with a character you want will be out for 2 or 3 runs. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and it also depends whether you like that character at the base. You might have leveled him up a lot, and you plan to keep leveling them. I had that in Slay the Spire in Darkest Dungeon. Where I remember my Brainoid character, the Highwayman. I'd always want to take him out if I could, but you'd need to rest him. So you'd have kind of main characters. Characters that are strong and experienced. They need resting at times. You may take items that benefit those, even if they are out of action for end runs, for example.
So writing down these scenarios, I really realized I think I like character collecting. It's a big part of the game. It should be a big part of the game because it has a harmony with the ability system, I think.
Yeah, I think Spacey likes the idea of getting to make alternative colors of the characters as well.
Yeah, maybe even more than colors, some hats and stuff.
Did you say hats?
Accessories, yeah.
Yes. Everyone's happy now. This one has a cloak, and this one has a hood.
Yeah.
This one has a little bird on its shoulder.
I still don't know how many poses we will have, so
Mm.
I'm shutting my mouth for now. But
Yeah.
we'll discover.
I think until we're certain, I think you can assume they just all look the same pose. We just put a random seed before they start doing their animation, right? That's enough area. Okay, so then finally, no Slay the Spire in this hybrid. So are we collecting characters? Yes. They go back to base, same type of characters, names, different abilities. So you can play with 2 tags. Yep, same as that previous one. So length of the map would be medium, so not long for ones. Depending on the player's desire to roam and complete side quests, runs should take 20 to 40 minutes. They could be longer. Yeah, so this is more pure Darkest Dungeon now, right? Because their runs are not massively long. It's like a little adventure you're going out on, right? And then you come back and you reap your adventures spoils, I guess. What happens between map runs? Can you leave the map and go back to the base? Party selection, loadout, card forging, and many other things are done at the base instead of the map gameplay. You could lose all the progress in the map and return to base if you want to try the map with a different setup.
So this is more like Darkest Dungeon. Most of the things are done at the base.
Yes. I want to reread over that last line. You can lose all progress in the map. Hang on, wait there.
I'm not sure about that section. So if you want to just retreat from the map and go back to base, you can probably.
Right, yes, okay. So this is like retreating. I think there should be some negative to that, right? But
yeah, so that's why I said lose all the progress, but I don't know what progress is here. So the quests you completed, the items you collected, whatever.
Or there's like a fee to do it, or some cost, or you need to drop everything that's in your bags and leave. Because if you think of Darkest Dungeon, right, you put stuff in your bags before you go out.
Surrender your goods.
Well, if you got to run, maybe you abandon the wagon or whatever you've got with you, right?
Yes.
So the thought with this is, if you do choose to take stuff out with you on an adventure, restarting a new run would mean you lose what you took with you. So you'd really have to not like the current run that you're having to do that, or not take stuff with you.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, what happens during map runs? Pathway, free roaming between nodes. You can revisit a node, but they're either empty after combat or it's a camp that you cannot rest anymore. Fires out. Yeah, okay. What I said earlier. We can still have different nodes, like different combat nodes, like defend. Yeah, we had that. Card forging. Only done at the base, but could be useful if we introduce a blueprint system. You find new blueprints. Yeah, okay, that's cool. I agree with that. Event nodes where you see multiple actions. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I agree that things like the card forging would probably be done at base if we did this hybrid.
Yeah, I didn't mention it, but it's obvious that we need a stamina fuel, whatever thing here.
A fuel? Do you say?
Yeah. Fuel mechanic to make use of the node system, free roaming.
Yeah, I like the way Darkest Dungeon has it in a way is that like the darkness, right? And you need to take resources into. It gets harder and harder the longer you're in there, right?
Hmm?
So it could be done in that way somewhat as well.
Yeah, you're not going back and forth between the nodes a lot there, but
no. But it gives you some time element to it, I guess, because you can fully. Sometimes there is a chance where you've finished the quest, but there's some rooms you haven't explored, and you might want to go and do it, and so you do have to weigh up. Is it safe? Is it worth that risk? But yeah, you're right. It's not. It doesn't implement it in DD, but
they added this camp mechanic there. Also, it's in harmony with the darkness meta. Like you are trying to time when you should camp.
Oh yes, yeah. You're right. I forgot about that. You got to choose when to with the item, haven't you? Yeah.
Sure.
Is there a timer or a ticker that counts down or up while traveling? That's something we're thinking about. Is how to have place some form of direction or pressures or gambles to players based on how they want to explore. We don't know at the moment.
Yeah, so other games are using either fuel, stamina, fear, morale, or
Pizza ship.
or the time. Like it's nighttime, so you have to go back now or whatever.
That's one true love, right? The
Yeah.
alchemy between us. It gets nighttime and you have to go home because the alphas,
No, if it's nighttime, the
the wolves.
werewolves are spawned.
Yeah, but
So
it gets to a certain point where it's so late that you're forced to go to bed.
yeah, that's what I want to go for at the moment. Actually, like stronger enemies start to spawn, so you cannot last longer. You have to either retreat or quickly go to the end.
Hmm. Yeah, it'd be interesting because then like each chapter could be a day if you wanted to play it like that. And each like no traversal takes an hour or a slot of your some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice not to have it as a finite number, but just like the concept of time passing would be good.
And also, like you said, this could be different from chapter to chapter as well. The rules of free roaming.
Like that could just be in the graveyard undead kind of world, if you would. Like maybe in the night, that's where bad things happen there, right? Like
Yes.
zombies spawn, so every tile will have a risk of a zombie row, whatever, right?
Yeah, I mean, in end turns, the enemies close in and capture you and take you to their king, and you have to fight their king.
Yeah.
It forces you to fight the boss in end turns.
Yeah. That works well. I like the idea that we can change that up between chapter because one that allows us to try, and if one of them works really good, we could then just go, let's just use this for all of our maps. It's a good, solid enough idea. But it allows us to kind of prototype these different ideas without having to choose one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So I quite like that. And it'd be a place where we could let people play it and see what they like as well at that point. What they preferred as a play style. Games like Kingsway had an encroaching shroud that pushed the player in a direction. Also, games like Bad North. Is that kind of like like in Faster Than Light, Devious, where you have that kind of like blanket coming behind you? Yeah, for sure. That where you can choose to stay behind, but it makes it really difficult if you do. Or it's high risk at least, and you may be constantly in high risk from then on as well. That's the other thing. If you go too far in, the shroud keeps moving. It's not waiting for you, so it's like you really just. Yeah, I think that you're going to get like New Game Plus mode through doing that. Okay, what happens when you lose your party? You lose the characters and their abilities. Recruit new ones at the base. Probably gives you 2 characters max with default abilities. I don't. That's the thing about the game over if no characters left. I don't know whether like that didn't happen in Darkest Dungeon, but it did feel crap when you lost all your characters, right? But I mean, if you've happened to accumulate a bunch of cool cards, like it gives you that way of like, I'm gonna not use all of my best items this run in case we die.
Well, in Darkest Dungeon, you also had this auto recruitment system that people were arriving at your base.
Yeah, you did. But I feel if we did that, it feels very similar to DD then.
Yes.
But I don't know if we can find another way to do it where you have like an infinite supply of.
We could have some cats giving birth.
Mama cat. Well, it could always be that you have that backup of just taking like new recruits who are all level 1. They're crap.
Sorry, I'm still laughing at my stupid idea. Womb of Cattenburg, I guess.
Right. No, we're not having cat birth as part of the
kitten birth.
Sorry, that was a good pun. Devious was saying Darkest Dungeon didn't invent that method. Having a constant recruit list has been a thing for a while. Okay, that's good to know as well. I guess it was the first time I'd come across it, Devious, so I appreciate that input there. But yeah, the recruit list could be an idea, but like a part of me feels like it should always be your weakest backup plan. It's you're going back to the start kind of thing. Whereas in Darkest Dungeon, you could get some which were like pretty leveled up. So yeah, I think that's an option. I don't know whether like game over is ever nice. I think like they can choose to start again if they want. Forcing it might not be required.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to think, when I was playing DD, did I ever want to like start afresh? And reality is you've probably invested and unlocked some stuff already. So
yeah, losing your characters is enough of a penalty, I guess, right?
Yeah, because then you'll end up playing the earlier chapters to level them up again, you know?
Yeah.
Because you can have like recommended level range for a chapter.
I'm gonna delete this then.
Okay.
Convinced.
Probably gives you two characters. Base perhaps recruitment is almost always going to give you weak characters, but it's a way to start building up again if all goes to shit.
Maybe instead of these hero characters, you get peasants.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But maybe it can be all the characters, but we give them like a different aesthetic, right? Where they're all in like pauper pants. Where the bard, you know, doesn't have that lovely little quilted sleeves. It's just in rags. Brainode might be a little bit quiet. Do you mean that, Omix? The voice of the guy I'm talking to?
I'm other people.
Thank you for the feedback. If so, I can do my best to kind of balance that out a bit.
Say
Like I'm how I look at it, just so you know, is I like look at these. Brado would say something.
Say something.
And I try and look here.
Say something.
Yeah. No, it's myself. So I'm the one talking. Hi, Honest Dan. And then we have Brainoid Games, who's on Discord with me, who's also in chat as well. It's all good. But yeah, I try and keep us at about the same kind of level on that equalizer. So, but yeah, thank you for the feedback.
Stupid fat hobbitses. Master wants us to give good ideas.
There could be a golem here somewhere, possibly. Anyway, okay. So, what would happen if you avoid combat all the time? Earn less cards and gold. Harder to create a team with skills in harmony. Same way we introduce a quest system to scenario. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the one thing you kind of lose in this style of game is, like Slay the Spire, the more you combat on per chapter, it makes you stronger for that chapter. Whereas Darkest Dungeon didn't. It was more of a you're surviving. You don't really get stronger as you go on. So that's something to.
Actually, you are.
How?
With the rewards you collect. Trinkets.
Sometimes you get a nice trinket in a run, but I wouldn't say it's common practice. Like that, each run you get stronger as you go on. You might.
Don't you have experience in those as well? Okay. I forget about it.
I'm trying to. You might have experience, possibly. For me, I'm trying to think. When I played it, I don't remember like each time I go out on a mission whether I felt I was getting stronger on that run.
Wasn't there a loadout menu that if you are upgraded, then you could use these abilities for those characters?
Well, yeah, but that was like between runs, right?
Yes.
So I mean like per single chapter.
Well, that's why the runs are shorter.
Yes, yeah. It was, so I guess my comment was more of just like we kind of lose that element of it. So the card rewards may not need to be issued in the same way. Because Slay the Spire gives you a card reward after every combat, right? Because you need to get stronger. But in this, we don't need to get stronger. And so we can still give rewards, but it may not assume that the same kind of reward system is going to work.
You could still be able to change your loadout inside when you're navigating the map.
Then
it makes sense, I guess.
Yes. Like I'm still fine with it. We could have it so you get stronger per run still. It was just more of a contrast of how Darkest Dungeon did it. Just to catch up on chat a little bit as well. So Devious, you're saying you're surviving to collect more stuff. Yeah, but it kind of feeds into your future runs and your collection of items, right? But it's totally fine. Like that is the nature. The difference is you're progressively getting better in this style of game. If we went with that, rather than you're building each run to be like to get to a peak each time. So it's fine. It's not. It wasn't a criticism. It was more of just an observation. Okay, how does the ability system work in this? Scenario makes good use of the ability system. You need to plan your loadout well, since you can use the same type of characters in the party. Ah, right. Okay. Yeah. That's the point. Yeah. No. It is a good point, because you could, you won't want to take 2 tanks if you don't really have the abilities for them, right?
Well, their default abilities are maybe good enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. But correct. My point is, you might want to take a different character over a tank with his default abilities.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stopped here, but you can obviously create other variations, change answers to those questions.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm leaning towards the town idea, I guess. Like DD sort of style.
I think we need to discuss more about the free roaming ideas. We don't have enough ideas there yet, I guess. The quests and everything.
Yeah, so that would be the what we'd need to think about is like what do you actually do in this map exploration thing, other than. So first off, are we agreeing that there would be a boss that you're trying to get to, right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Because that's in Darkest Dungeon. Well, is there a boss, or there's like the main? No, there's just chests that you go and loot, isn't there?
Yeah, there wasn't a boss in every map.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess with us, there would be like an objective.
So they divide chapters into several maps as well. And so there's a last map that you fight the boss, right?
Yes. Let's try and think. So yeah, you could combine the idea of having a boss with this kind of quest system that we're talking about. Is that there's always a quest to go and slay a boss, right? So it'd be like, oh no, the giant spider thing is back, or whatever, right? In terms of replayability, and maybe on each map there might be a range of different bosses you have.
Yeah.
So we could do it to that, or it could just be you've just got to find the boss. So there's just one boss and it's marked on your map always. It's not so much like a quest that you pick up. So that would be the main driving point. And once you've done that, then you can leave safely, I guess. I don't know or maybe it's getting from one point to another. I'm trying to think like thematically, like story and cohesion of mechanics here is like. If we're saying that you can return to town at any point, but you need to lose all your stuff, for example, or it's negative, right? Then fine, you can do that. But then if we say once you get to a boss, you get to a cave and kill a boss, then why is it then safe for you to go home without losing all your stuff? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I like if whether or not you need to just get to the next town, which happens to be like behind a boss tile, let's say. So maybe the bosses are like thematically we could say like, oh, the spider is attacking town 2, and so you're off to town 2 to fight that monster, and then when you defeat it, you're then at that next town, if you will.
Okay, yeah.
But It could still be Darkest Dungeon style, but then how are your characters then in that next town with you? That's the confusing thing. Beating the weaker quests gives stronger quests was a suggestion by Devious.
Yes, I was considering that, by the way. We were talking about different rules of free roaming and quests in different environments or chapters. So imagine in one of them you have to complete one quest to find the other, and if you complete the second quest, then you see where the boss is.
Okay.
But it takes time, right? And turns. If you cannot do these 2 quests in time, then you have to go back or something. Or
Okay, yeah, I can see where you, the kind of style you're going at there. So you basically have, it's like a 3-step boss. You need to do step 1, maybe step 2, and then you know where the boss is.
Yeah, imagine you failed it, and you try another run, and this time you are closer, but you failed again, and the third time you get the boss, but this time you lose to the boss, and you try again.
So would it be remembered that you've completed quest 1 and 2 as well?
I maybe not.
Yeah. And hello, Mr. Mike in Principle. It's a long time since I've seen your glorious face, or well, I mean your username. That's your face here. It's very good to see you. I hope you're keeping well. How are you doing?
And we can also justify it like the boss is hiding elsewhere every time. So yeah, you go through different quests.
Well, the boss could be just hidden on a random tile, right?
Yes.
Which gives you reason to explore a little bit more. Like, should we go to this end node?
Yeah.
Is the boss there? But if you complete the quests, then it helps you basically find it. Do you know the game Hunt Showdown?
Yes.
So you know how that has it, like the boss, you can get clues to where the boss is.
Yes.
So, but it basically just helps you find it, but you could happen to stumble across the boss immediately as well. So I think that sort of style could be interesting, because it kind of incentivizes doing quests, and it means if you do the quests, then you're reducing your risk of like spending more time and like night falling and things getting more difficult, or running out of supplies, however we do it.
Yeah, it's a balance between like your characters losing some HP to the quests, maybe, but you know where to go after.
So Devious is saying, what if you run into the boss on accident? Yeah, that could be a bit of a crap experience too, if you completely run into them by accident. Maybe it could be Devious that when you're 1 tile away from tiles, you can see what they are. So that way you could be 1 tile away and you go, oh, that is the boss, and then you can make that choice not to go to them. Does that make sense? Like that could be a solution to that. And it's a bit different to having mystery nodes. It's more of just having like a fog of war, if you will.
Yeah, my initial idea was that the boss tile is really invisible, and you reveal it once you complete the quest. But yeah.
Right. I see. What? So it like adds a new node and connects it.
Yeah.
Okay, that could work too. So first off, Graham, well done. Thank you for the raid. Nice to see you here. Thank you for signing up for the Honest Jam as well. If anyone else is interested, I am hosting my 3rd game jam. And we'll be raising money for Special Effect, which is a great charity. And I'll be basically streaming from Saturday until the following Sunday. I've got that week off of work, so we're mostly going to be doing game dev. There may not be as many redemptions as previous streams, because I do want to try and focus on the game jam side of it, but there will be some incentivizations for people to donate. I'm thinking of how to do it. I might do it like in the evening I do redemptions, so it might be like any donations in the day mean that I then will in the evening I will do X, Y, or Z, for example. So or maybe like donations can vote what will today's end of day redemption be. So every time someone donates, that £1 goes towards like the vote of what they want them to do. So I'm trying to think of different like more creative ways to do it, which will not derail me as much from participating in my own game jam.
Yeah, it's sad that Twitch things is not a thing.
It is sad. Yeah, we were thinking it. Well, we looked at the rules. A friend of mine, Mega RGJ, he's in the chat and on the Discord sometimes. He was looking into it. And the rules are you're not allowed to do a parody of someone's song. So my theme announcement of tribute for the first game jam wouldn't be valid anymore. That would be breaking the rules. So basically, you're allowed to sing other people's songs as long as you do it true in the spirit of the song. So that's the non-parody thing. And then the second thing is you have to perform all of the instrumental stuff yourself. Basically, you can't use their original audio. So
okay, so what
can't
if
do karaoke.
I play and record all the requests
Yeah.
and then sing over there?
Yeah, like literally that is like so. Right, they were saying in work that one of the guys, Tom, could do some. He has a ukulele. He could do because basically they made fun of how bad I was at performing 8 Mile, which is fair critique. But yeah, so we the only way we could do it would be to pre-record our own audio for the songs. But then like I don't know these words. Like karaoke's great because it gives you the rhythm of the words too. So it's a bit challenging to pre-record stuff. But we can have a think. Maybe it wouldn't be like a catalogue of it. It would just be I would just have to re-perform the same songs, and we'd have a very small catalogue, or maybe I'd perform 5 songs if we get to that sort of donation goal in the evening. I'll do 5 songs and then we just pre-record those. Something like that could work, but we've only got 2 weeks, so I need to have to think about it. Anyway, right, sorry, I'm a slight sidetrack. Mike, you were saying, I don't agree with the ugliness. I've seen your face. So, fine, we will disagree on that. I'm glad you're a dandy, though. Been working with the Bit Trip team for a year now. We released a new game about... Was that a hex-based or hex something game, Mike? I think I did see you tweet something out. Haven't had a chance to check it out. Also, I don't really know Bit Trip. Do you want to enlighten us a little bit more about that? You'd have to find a way around just to explore beyond them, unless the boss is always on the edge of the map. Yeah. I agree with you, Devious. It needs to be done intelligently to not create really negative experiences as well. And Zelda, how lovely to see you. Thanks for joining us. Zelda, a regular in Elisha Griffin's stream. It's nice to have you here. Well, I've used Twitch things for the charity streams before, and people seem to enjoy to watch me struggle on that, but we're not allowed to do it anymore. And so that is one of the main. I used to give a big amount of money income for the charity streams, but so we'll see how it goes this year. Yeah, feel free to drop some links, Mike. I give you full permission, good sir.
You wanted us to remind you the time?
Yes, yeah, we are on 2 hours now, so we will be wrapping up kind of soon. But still okay. So the discussion we were midway is like, what could you do on the map, right? How would the actual gameplay work? So like we know we have encounters, right? So I think things we don't need to discuss today is one, you have encounters where there's enemies, you need to fight them, and you have an idea of what type of enemy it is before you go in. So you can choose to go like, do I want an easy enemy or an elite enemy?
Combat as well, defend.
Yes. Well, that was the second thing I was going to go on to, is all the defensive where you have to defend for 3 waves or something like that, right?
Yeah, about that, I want to talk about Arcanum combat types. So the standard for them is different than our standard. So their standard combat is you face three enemies, but after n turns the combat ends. I guess 6 turns.
Oh, what you attack and they attack, sort of thing, or you just need to survive for X turns? You mean?
Yes, you have to survive. You don't have to kill all of them. Yeah, but if you kill all of them, you win again.
Okay, yeah, that could work. So it's multiple ends to it.
Yeah.
So
it's basically what happens in other turn-based games, right? Like the combat, you have 6 turns to finish the combat, or it's not resolved.
Well, they did that in Darkest Dungeon 2, actually. You have X amount of turns on some of the mobs, maybe all of them. So instead, before they used to do it, they would get reinforcements, so you couldn't just cheese it and like heal and all that repeatedly. Now they have it where there's a number of how many turns are left, and if you don't finish it, it just ends combat, and you don't get the same reward that you would have got for killing them.
Okay, and their second non-standard combat thing is our standard, I guess. You have to kill these three enemies in order to finish the combat.
Yeah.
And the other one is the defend thing with reinforcements. You have to survive. With reinforcements.
So is that like 2 types?
3.
I find the defending and the surviving quite similar. And Mike, this isn't for the game jam. The game jam starts on the 4th of December. This is Cattenburg you remember we made this for a previous game jam, just for anyone who's unaware of it. It's the card cute character game with cats where you reveal cards and then you can play characters on them to do their abilities. And they kind of have special abilities based on their kind of stats, and their stats influence how well they do certain abilities as well. So this was that side of the game, and now recently we've just put in this like node navigation kind of element to the game. So you can go either top way or bottom way, and we're kind of exploring the idea of if we have explorative, where you can just go around and you can go back on yourself, versus like a more linear one where if I go up here, I can never go down this route, where you have to make a decision what route is going to be better for me. Yeah, that's what we're talking about at the moment. So you go to a new fight, I'm pressing a shortcut to end it. Then you can go to a new one, you'd end it. And talking about like what the events would be, what would be the...
Looking hella handsome today.
Well, David. Thank you. It's good to see you here, and thank you for the flattery, as always. So we're trying to work out how to make this interesting. Like, or what's going to drive the player to move around. Why would they want to go down here? Why would they want to, like, what is their objective? When can they finish their run? They're the things we're trying to work out. Because in Slay the Spire, you just need to get to an end point. And it's linear, you can't go back, so you'll always end up there. But if you don't do that and we do something more explorative, then we need to figure out what is the driving force between the different paths that they go on. Indeed. Thank you, Alicia. I'm glad you agree that I'm handsome. It's a bit late to trade me in if you didn't agree.
Oh.
Let's have a quick look at this video. Oh! Yes, this looks familiar. So, yes, this character... yeah, sorry. So, they're the indie dev who did this. You've been working with them on a game. Is it a collaborative effort between you, then? And can you drop a link to the Hex, the new game, as well? Okay, yeah, let's try and carry on, but also consider wrapping up a little bit as well, Brian.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. We talked about the combat types, 2 or 3, whatever.
Yeah.
And we can also have, I think, different missions, escort missions that replaces one of your characters, and you try to keep the third character alive, or
yes, Lady Cattenburg. She needs to be escorted, but you can only take 2 characters then. Yeah. Even if we don't have a reason why you can not take 3 characters with it, I don't think games always need that story reason. So
yeah,
it can just be like when you choose your party, she's in the middle, and then you get that idea. Oh, we can only take 2. That might be enough. Okay. Yeah. I feel like we'd want to make the map interesting, and I guess one thing I feel looking at this map at the moment is I almost feel like there's too much combat. If Slay the Spire mode, you need combat all the time to build up your deck. But on this, I don't know whether, like, to go down this route, I'm going through like 12 fights, which are going to be kind of similar.
We don't have the question marks yet.
Yes. Yeah. So I think hopefully question mark and events would benefit. I don't know whether we need it a bit smaller as well. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not too sure, but that's something we can experiment with. But yeah, that's the thought. So let's think. You still accumulate cards. I'm trying to think like how would a fight here differ to a fight here? That's what I'm trying to think of. Is like how does it feel as a player? Progressive, because that's nice about Slay the Spire is that you might have gotten 2 new abilities which you're really looking forward to try. Like, oh cool, I can use this now, or oh my deck's getting stronger, I feel like my gameplay is evolving because I now have these cards that, you know, maybe they, you know, I have an armor build where I can just pile on loads of armor and then use it to do damage. And you start exploring, like changing your gameplay up, so that makes fight number 1 feel very different to fight number 5. Or maybe not very different, but progressively different. My mild concerns are, well, we can still reward cards and have that bit of a build up, but it feels like it's a bit blurry then between like, well, also we're doing a build up back to the base with your long term deck building as well, right? So we'd need to make sure that the fights don't feel boring, and that the fights don't feel like they feel meaningful. Sometimes, it's going to be in a way to make it like to take. Basically, the purpose of the fight is to take your health down to make it harder. So you need to use supplies. You need to visit different events to replenish your health so that you can beat the boss. Like that is a reason for encounters, but we wouldn't want to force a player to go through 4 encounters that they see as a bit of a bore. And maybe different encounter types will do that for us. Like the different types of rats that we fight. That's one consideration. Those different things that affect the boards in different way, like we talked about, like there might be like area of effect damage or things that like destroy your cards or whatever it be. That could make it feel like, oh, okay, I want to go for this fight instead, and it feels like a different fight each time you go into one. Well, not each time, but there's a variance in fights.
And now that you talked about it, maybe an ability that hurts one of your cards, and it's not. You cannot use it for next combat as well.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So it impacts the whole run, right? So like temporary disable your card for, or or maybe send your card back to base. It sounds thematically dumb, but so let me just have a quick look at what Mike is saying. This game. Oh, a Switch game you've been involved in as well. Oh, you've been involved in this game. Is this the League of Legends spin-off thing, right? Well, that's a nice title to be involved in. Well done. I know of League of Legends a tiny bit, but I don't actually know a great deal about the characters. But I've seen they've just started releasing TV content and a bunch of sub games with the characters to kind of build on their franchise. So you were hired as level designer and a programmer. Lovely. What sort of team was involved in this, if you're allowed to talk about it? Like size? Cool. That sounds a great kind of project to be a part of. Yeah, so I think that's one of the things we need to think about, as well as like based on the 4 proposed ideas. I do quite like the idea of the non-Slay the Spire one. I'm not saying that I definitely never want to do the Slay the Spire one, but we just need to work out how to make the map interesting.
I think we have enough ideas here now we can think about.
yeah, I agree. I think one of the elements we need to look at in the coming weeks or months is can we make the combat interesting enough? So that's where we're going to explore different environmental effects on the combat and bosses, and we need to feel like, is this enough, or do we need to design more, or like redesign the mechanics of combat a little to make it more engaging?
Sure.
But we're in a good place though. We're in a good place. It's been super fun to see this come to life. It looks really great. It feels like a 5,000% improvement on like what we had before, and it makes it feel it's a bit more respectable as well. When people see this, they go, "Oh, what's this?" So I think you've done a great job, and thank you for.
I'm glad that I have something pretty that when I'm showing the game jam gameplay.
Yeah.
By the way, we were gonna replace this Monopoly thing, but then I don't have anything else to show what we're replacing with the Monopoly with. Now we have, I think.
Yeah. So like the progress from like the game jam entry where we had the board to now we have this, you mean, right?
Yeah.
So we do have like a before and after, if you will, which is nice. Lovely.
Thanks.
Okay. Do you have anything else to add before we wrap up? Good sir.
No, a lot actually, but yeah, let's just stop.
Okay. Yeah, feel free to jot down these ideas just in bullet point forms on that document, and we and direct them to me, and I can have a read through another time, good sir.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, thanks for joining me, Mr. Brainoid.
Bye.
And I'll catch up with you soon.
Soon.
Cheers, Bora. Bye.
Bye.
Right, so we will be wrapping up. I'll just catch up on chat, and then we'll be getting out of here. So to answer, you're saying you were a contractor. They hired you. Yeah, I read that bit. There was 12 peoples with additionals coming and going with some subcontractors as well. Okay, that's cool. Are we going for a commercial release? We don't know. We're exploring whether or not we think it would be something to try and releases a full game. I think we might still chuck it for free, whatever we finish with, chuck it for free on Steam. But if we decide that actually no, this formula does seem something that we really want to like invest in, we may try going down the make it commercial. So yeah, that'd be we're currently, I guess you could say, prototyping the kind of game loop side of it. You also said something earlier I skipped over. Whatever notes you make, if you're going for the rogue vibe, I'd spend some time designing reasons not to explore. All right. Oh, yes. Yeah. So far, what we've talked about with that is like having potentially a day-night cycle where, or maybe just a day-to-night phase. Whereas when the closer to night it gets more difficult, or like like more enemies or harder enemies come in the evenings, which means you kind of want to prioritize your route and not just exhaustively explore everything. We've also talked about like having supplies that you need to use, or a resource that to fuel you as you go around, and so there's a bit of a gamble that you could run out of those resources and perish or whatever. So yeah, it's a good suggestion there, Mike. Maybe have that linear short have more than one, make them one way, connect them between, hang on. You make shorter missions that takes you to a short linear map with some small events, and then back to the main map. Oh, that's it. That's an interesting idea. Actually devious. That we could have like mini Slay the Spire sections. So let's say you get to like a cave on here. Let's say, this is like a cave. Or maybe this is a cave. This makes more sense to me. And when you go to this, it'll take you to like a different terrain, which will just have like a Slay the Spire sort of linear. You can only go one way. What gets confusing then is like communicating to the player, you can't go both ways anymore. It'd have to be like some mechanic, like the cave is collapsing behind you. So when you move, like the rubble falls on the previous tiles and you can't go back. We could kind of do something like that, but I don't think we could have no traversal work one way in one section of the game and another way in another. But yeah, great idea, great idea. But ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. It's nice to see some faces and catch up as well. Mike, don't be a stranger, good sir. And congratulations again on being involved in a great project. It's nice to see. And yeah, we've had some lovely faces here as well. If you want to get involved in the Game Jam, please do sign up. Even if you're not going to take part in the Game Jam, if you have an itch account, it would help visibility of the Game Jam, even if you just register. I'm not going to get upset if you don't actually take part in it. So do feel free to just register if you want to help support the Jam. And another way you can support is you can turn up between the 4th and the 12th and just hang out in the stream, or be on the Discord and take interest in other people who are taking part in the game. That could be a good